like to call to order the regular council meeting of the City of Crest Lake, August 9th, to order. And the first thing is to, if everybody would raise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, approval of the additions to the agenda. There's additional bills to approve. And then we're going to have the attorney summarize our closed session, and we'll put that under A3. The next addition is a memo dated August 9th, 2021 from Eric Lee in reference to an air conditioner in a police garage. Another memo dated August 9th from Eric Lee for the police department promotional item. And then another letter dated June 3rd, 2021 from Bolton and Mink, and it's a proposal for professional engineering services for the County Road 66 3 stormwater collection. Can I have a motion to approve those additions to the agenda?
So moved.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. The third thing is the attorney summary for our closed session.
Sure. I think the consensus was, but we want to vote on this in open session to confirm that consensus that we reached in closed. But the consensus in closed was that I reviewed or went over the proposed settlement agreement that is contingent to council approval, whereby we pay the landowners, the last landowner on the Perkins Road project, $203,675, plus turn back the condemnation area that was not used for the road right away. And that's contingent on that being a final payment, and there's no claim for statutory attorney fees or appraisal costs that they could request without a settlement.
Okay, can I have a motion for approval of that summary?
I so moved. I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The next item on the agenda is public forum. If you would come up and, I guess I'm supposed to read all this. Action may or may not be taken on any issues raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issues will be placed on the agenda of the next regular council meeting. The speaker must state their name and address. Anybody for public forum? Everybody's happy. Okay, can I have is there any questions on the consent calendar? Anybody want to move anything or pull anything?
No.
I want to pull item 7. The balance, or 8, I'm sorry, the balance sheet. That being pulled, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda or calendar?
So moved.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Carried. I guess my question, my question on the balance sheet is, I'm not understanding that there's no designation for that $458,000 that we designated. If maybe you could clarify that. At the last meeting, I didn't find where there was any reserve designated funds in the amount of $458,000.
It's summarized in the balance sheet. You have to go to a separate schedule to get it, which I can provide to you.
Okay, but it will be on this the next time? I'd appreciate it if it was.
This will be in summary form. It will not be, we don't have enough general ledger accounts to put every reserve on there. So we could add one account for the total reserve.
Okay, so you can add an account for designated reserve then?
We can look into it, yes.
Yeah, okay. I would like to see that done. I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
I move we approve C8 with the adjustment.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carried.
So, excuse me, they're having problems hearing you out there in cyber world. If you could make sure you pull your microphone down and you speak right into it, it might help.
Okay. Maybe it's because I raised my chair. Okay, next thing on the agenda is the mayor's report, and there's a notice of APOA's annual meeting and 50th anniversary celebration. Is this just for informational purposes? Is that why it's on here, I assume? I had to find it. Okay, it's August 21st at Immaculate Heart Catholic Church. That's at 35208 County Road 37 in Cross Lake. I would assume they have flyers up all over town for this annual meeting. The next thing is Cindy from the chamber. Do you want to come up and ask?
Good evening. I'm here to let you know that Cross Lake Days is being planned for Thursday, September 23rd through Saturday, the 25th. It's always the last Saturday in September. We have a large slate of activities planned for that weekend, including the 3-day Search for the Lost Chili Pepper. That begins on Thursday, hence the 3-day festival, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Businesses will be hosting other events on that Friday, Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday is the main focus of most of the events. It kicks off in the morning with the Cross Lake Cares is doing their Power of Aging Senior Expo at the Log Church, and their speaker is going to be retired WCCO meteorologist Paul Douglas. The Cross Lake Ideal Lions will be hosting their flea market in Town Square, and the Log Church the youth groups there will also be having a family fun zone in the Cross Lake Town Square gazebo area with music in the gazebo and some activities for children and some kids activities. The second annual Cross Lake pickleball tournament will be taking place at the community center. There will be handcrafted arts and crafts in the main corridor of Cross Lake at the Exchange parking lot. The Knights of Columbus will be hosting the second annual cornhole tournament in front of Cross Lake Ice Hardware, and that will be followed by a street dance. We haven't had a street dance in Cross Lake for many, many years, and Dan and Betty want to celebrate. It was scheduled for last September. We couldn't have a street dance with the COVID situation, so we're having their 10-year anniversary at their location, which is really 11 years now. But that is why we're having a street dance in front of Ace Hardware. Of course, the chili cook-off is back this year. There's no reason why we can't do that. We didn't do it last year for Cross Lake Days, but we're bringing that back. And then the Historical Society will be doing their cider and candlelight tour. So I need a couple things from you this evening. First of all, I'm seeking permission to close the section of Pioneer Drive in front of Ace Hardware. I spoke with Jamie Reed this morning, and he's fine with it. The access to the back of Reed's will be open. The access to the front of Reed's by the bar stock will be open on Pioneer Drive. We're just going to block off that middle section. There's one entrance to Reed's Grocery and one entrance to the hardware store in that location. So we did it last year. We put the cornhole boards in the middle of the street to allow for socially distanced game play, and it worked very well. And then this year we're asking to close off the portion of Heritage Road in front of their laundromat. But again, there's plenty of access around that area without having to use Heritage Way. I think it's called Heritage Way. So I'm seeking your permission to close those two portions of the road pretty much all day. The cornhole tournament starts at 10 a.m. and the street dance, I'm not sure exactly what the hours are, but of course it would be done by the 10 o'clock noise ordinance, I believe, that the city has. So the street dance will be over by 10. So that's one thing. Second thing I need from you is a motion to host the chili cook-off. And that needs to be a motion in its own, according to the Minnesota Department of Health guidelines for community chili cook-offs.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the permission to host Cross Lake Days Chili's Cook-Off?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed. The other motion we need is to close Pioneer Drive and Heritage Drive. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you. And then
Cindy, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is that just dancing and music?
They are having a band, a live band.
No
on a st-
drinking?
We're not sure about that yet.
Okay, let me know.
So last year during the cornhole tournament, Masieres is a licensed caterer. So they had their beverage truck and food truck too. So if there is a alcohol served of any kind, it would be licensed through a caterer, for sure. And then we will be asking Ted to provide some barricades for the street.
That's what I was gonna ask is, how many, just let me know ahead of time.
Pretty much the same as last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cindy. The next thing on the agenda is to, a resolution accepting a donation from the Pell Foundation in the amount of $491.77 for pickleball paddles for Camp Kimchi. Could I have a motion?
Make a motion that we accept the donation of $491.77 from the Powell Foundation for the pickleball paddles for Camp Kimchi.
I'll second that.
All in favor of motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Then we have a memo in reference to the Public Safety Committee appointment. And I believe I'm not sure how to pronounce this, Rob Needfeld?
I believe that's correct.
Thank you. So can I have a motion to appoint him to the Public Safety Committee?
I move that we appoint Rob Kniefel.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Then we have the new Public Right-of-Way Vacations Committee. And the appointments on this memo are John Andrews, Cindy Gibbs, Kevin McCormick, TJ Grutman, Ted Strand, and John Kolstad. I believe,
Can I ask you a question?
sure,
John, are you looking to be on there as a council member or as a citizen?
As a staff.
As staff? Okay, well, that's the same thing, okay. What did I say?
he said John.
Yeah, John Andrews
Yes.
is who I was referring to.
Yeah, John.
I'd ordinarily just consider I'd be doing it as a citizen.
As a citizen, okay. So at some point then here soon, we'll have to appoint a council member to be, sit on that, I'm assuming.
Do we want to go ahead and appoint Dave Nevin? I think he wanted to be on that committee. And then we can't have more than two councilmen, whether you're on there as a citizen or not. There'd be two councilmen represented on that committee.
Okay.
So,
Then I move that the names associated here be appointed.
with Dave Nevin on there?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the appointments?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Appointments approved. Okay. Fire hall remodel costs. I think I'm going to have to, the change order that we've been struggling with the mold mitigation in the amount of $9,352.70. I did talk to Andy today. He's on Zoom. Oh, is he? Oh, okay. You wanna share with us, Andy?
Yeah, good afternoon. So I know there's been some questions, I guess, around the change order for the mold.
Andy,
Um,
I can't hear you, Andy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know there's been some questions around the change order for the mold. That change order, I understand, has some words in it that are a little deceiving. That specifically that we did an air quality test in the building prior. That change order is actually for when we initially found the mold in the building last summer. We went in, brought ServPro in, and High Tech and ServPro opened or probed some walls in some specific locations. After the south wall was discovered with mold, we went into the garage area and a few other areas within the building. ServPro gave us a recommendation of which walls to open up, and we did. So High Tech opened some walls up in specific locations and visually assessed which areas had mold, and we brought ServPro back at that time. So that's what that change order is for identifying, investigating the mold in those walls. I know the source well only gives us certain categories to put this cost into. And unfortunately, it reads a little bit differently than what it actually was on site. So I think that's what creates some of the confusion. We didn't do any air quality testing within the space. It was just physical investigation, if you will.
Okay, I think that, if we're going to approve that pay estimate, and I did talk to Andy about it, is that we need to have an attachment saying exactly what was done so that if it comes up again, whether there's been tests done and sampling, that high-tech request shows that that we did do air sampling, and we in fact did not. So I think if we had an attachment to it, explain exactly, since Gordian won't change their invoice, that we attach, I believe you gave an email to Mike on that, and on exactly what was done, that be attached to that pay request, and along with the payment of the invoice in the packet and with the invoice. Anybody else have any comments on that?
It's a good idea.
Chip? No comment? Okay.
Well, I wanna prevent the fact that if someone comes along later on and looks at the pay request and says, where's those reports? Well, there's not gonna be any reports because there wasn't any. So that will alleviate that problem. So,
We'll push this to next month.
well, do you have that email that you can attach to the,
I do. What I would suggest is Andy send us a new email detailing what you just talked about, because your email does not reference how you cannot put the Gordian description in there. So what I would do is I would have you send us a new email with what you just talked about and approve the payment contingent upon that receipt. So they don't have to wait another month for this.
right,
Definitely do that.
And you can copy the council on that if you
Do you
want to.
understand that, Andy?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
So can I have a motion to approve that change order?
I move we approve the change order of $9,352.70 and pay it upon receipt of the new email.
I second that.
All in favor of the change order approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then there's a change order for electrical changes in the amount of $13,525.18. I know it's all listed there. Is there a reason that that wasn't in the contract?
Yeah, so these changes, there's a few of them that the electrician came back to us with. We had, let me go through, we had to relocate the conference room light over the conference room table. The plan showed it just in a general location. Then after the conference room table was selected and placed in there, the request was to move that to center over the table. There was 5 outlets added in the garage tool area, in addition to what was shown on the plan. And then we also had to cut into the electrical panel and add some power, new circuit for communication and for cross-link communications. And then we added 2 phone lines into the radio room and 2 into the kitchen as well. So those were above and beyond what was indicated on the electrical plan.
Does anybody else have any questions for Andy on this electrical change?
Nope, I don't.
So can I have a motion to approve the change order?
I'll make the motion to approve the change order for $13,525.18 from High Tech.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have air test proposals from Service Master, Pier 1 Services, IEA, and Brown Internet. I don't know, does somebody want to take care of that?
I can
The
start this
differences?
off. The 4 proposals you have there, the 2 new ones are from, I was directed at the last council meeting to get one from Service Master. Remember, they're the ones that did the original testing for Mayor Nevin back in 2018. So you have one from Service Masters. I followed up on one I had from Pier 1 Services, which is over in Verndale, similar to Service Master. The reason this is the first time you're seeing it, and it's dated July 13th, is they didn't have a description of what their test was, and we've since resolved that since the last meeting. The other 2 that are in the packet, one is from, I'd asked Andy for a little assistance in saying, what kind of testing should we get done, who should we use, and what would that cost? So through Andy's contact, we got one from Indoor Air Quality, and then I followed up on one that we had used before as part of the process from Braun Intertech. Now, the tests range, the proposals range from $600 at the bottom end to $2,177 at the top end. And the reason there's such a wide range is because they're different tests. And so if Andy could maybe explain a little bit, well, I understand the first 2 tests are basic sampling where they use a Instascope, walk through the rooms and test the air at that time. The other 2 tests are a little more comprehensive and more scientific, is my understanding. And I would point out that in the first test that we had back in October, it didn't reveal the mold in the south wall that we ultimately tore the whole wall down and replaced. So go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I guess the long and short of it is you're going to get what you pay for. Just like you said, Mike, it's a more comprehensive test. So I guess that's the decision the city has to make, or council has to make. If what they see as sufficient testing for that space. You are correct, Mike, in saying that when we did the air quality test in the fire, or the old city hall, prior to demo, you know, and some of that, it didn't show any of that mold. And obviously there was substantial mold in those walls, but it just wasn't airborne, at the time of the test, I guess. So, yeah, so I mean, again, it's like anything, you get what you pay for. If you go to the other test, you're going to get a more substantial, report on what that building looks like.
Yeah, the difference between the two higher end proposals is the one tests, both of them from Indoor Air Quality and Braun Intertech, they both do an outdoor test for a base. The Indoor Air Quality does 3 tests inside, and the quote for the Braun Intertech does 6. One's $1,850, one's $2,177. The two on the low end, one from Service Master is $600, and Pier 1 Services is $980, I believe. So it's really what you want to do.
I know it's more expensive, but I'd still rather have the more extensive test so we have a stronger baseline to work from.
I agree.
So are you looking at which one?
One with,
Are you looking
was
at
it Braun?
Braun or the
Braun had 6 samples.
Brown is 7 samples, and the other one is 4 samples, right, total?
6 indoor and 1 outdoor, 3 indoor and 1 outdoor.
Does council have any more questions for Andy on it?
Mayor, why do we need,
No.
why do we drone bolts 37668 Moon Beach Trail? We've removed everything that had mold. Why do we need a test? All the mold is gone. To me, it's kind of like a waste. You can get mold in 2 years and it won't show up now. There shouldn't be any in there now. Everything was ripped out.
You're right, there shouldn't, but I want to make sure of it.
Well, then we're going to test every year?
No,
Because it can come back next year or the year after.
well, then we'll worry about next
Okay.
year.
Chip, you must have something to say.
I actually agree with that because it's all new HVAC, all the walls were torn out. And what are we testing for? Air conditioning's been running all summer. There's no moisture in there. Roof, the only thing is the roof hasn't been checked, so I would say a couple years from now, we do a test. But I think that's a waste of money because everything's brand new.
Done.
My concern,
But I'd
Chip,
wait for a couple years though, don't just table
Okay.
it. I think in a couple years, we need to check and see if it's being sealed. What do you think, Andy? Andy?
I think it's a cheap option to give some credibility to the building and what we did. We did not open up every single wall or every ceiling. I think it's a good baseline if you did the test to know exactly where you're at. And then if you want to spot test it in the future, I guess that would be my recommendation. I mean, from the city's side of it, I would recommend doing the air quality test. It's a pretty cheap cost to ensure the city staff that it's mold free.
That's a good point.
I agree that all the walls were down. There was not, everything was exposed. That was the whole idea behind taking all the walls out, so I
But
guess.
he said that not all of them came down. That's the point Andy's making. It wasn't a total gut job. And, the mold thing was a big issue with the fire department. So I'll make a motion that we go ahead with Braun and get it tested.
I would second that. I think it's helpful for us to have baseline data, and so be it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on contracting with Brown Intertech. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I want to be recorded as opposed. Motion carried. City Administrator's report.
All right, thank you. On item E1 in my report is we've got TJ, who's not here tonight, was directed to get a quote from Digital Horizons to upgrade our recording process. As you've noticed tonight, we've had some issues with the recording portion of the meeting. What we'd like to do is put a different piece of hardware along with related software to change to what's called an FTP system. And what that means, FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. And the way that our system works right now is we have a little disk and Zoom, and we go down and we push a button, and then when we get done with the meeting, we push another button, and we record it to a thumb drive, the meeting to a thumb drive. Then we take that thumb drive and we give it to Shar, and then she transfers that thumb drive onto our network, and she uses that as backup for the minutes, and then we put that recording of the meeting out on our website for everyone to see. The preferred method of doing this would be to set it up so it records directly to our server on a secure site, and then there would be no risk of damaging the disk or file transfer or whatever. We would know right away if we had a good recording. The quote that you have here is for $1,135. We're getting some credit for the video appliance that we already have. We're just changing the method of how we're transferring the recordings to a more secure system.
What did we swap out on that before? Didn't we have to replace something for $5,000 on this whole audio-video system previously?
No, we added another receiver to it and a different recording device. This would allow us to record directly to an FTP site. So right now, when we get done with the meeting, John or myself or Ted or whoever draws the short straw sits here until the video loads, which can take up to an hour and a half after the meeting closes. Someone's got to stay here and do that, and we'd like to not do that, and we'd like to have a improved chain of custody for that information rather than a removable thumb drive or a...
Does it have to be done right away? Can't you do it in the
Yes.
morning? No?
We do it right away.
I know, but can you do it in the morning?
My understanding is it has to be done right when you close the meeting.
Are they giving us credit for some hardware? That's what the...
Yeah, they're giving us
Yeah, okay.
$995 credit and then another $205 credit to swap it out. Long term, it's a better solution than what we're doing now.
If I could add a little bit, they have been having problems with this system like this everywhere that they've put it in, and everyone else is going through the same process to upgrade and have a better system that works better and is easier to function. Right now, it's rather difficult, and we have lots of problems with it.
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase of these new streaming devices for $1,135 from Digital Horizons.
Second.
All in favor of
Aye.
this? Opposed? I'm opposed to it. I think we should budget for it. And I'm wondering if we do need to do it right away. I mean, it sounds like it's something that could be recorded or transferred the next morning, but I'm not an IT person, so I just think we should be budgeting for that. Go ahead. It passed, but you can go ahead with your administrator report.
All right, item 2 is a resolution to accept the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund established under the American Rescue Plan Act. And this is the money that the government, federal money that was awarded to us. We're called what's called a non-entitlement entity, meaning we're under 50,000 in population. The way this works is the money is available out there, but we have to apply for it. We went through some discussion on how can we use it, are we eligible to use it, and if we are eligible to use it, what would we use it for? Before you get any money under the program, we'll get half, we're eligible to get half this year and half in the following year. The current allocation for us right now comes to approximately $249,077, and that's based on $105.81 on our 2019 population. There will be a number of communities that do not apply for this, and depending on how much is unapplied for or not transferred to another entity, our second payment could be a little higher if the council so chooses to authorize us to apply for this. I'm recommending that you do apply for it. We can use a portion of these funds for our stormwater upgrade. We've already received $315,000 in grant money for the project we're working on right now. Some of this could go towards that, and it is my understanding that the rest of it could go towards sewer infrastructure. You have to really look deep in the regulations to find where you can do that, but the Congress did recognize that sanitary sewer is a major contributor to public health under this act. So my recommendation would be to accept this resolution and direct staff to complete the application for the funds.
So you need this resolution in
Yes.
order to apply for the funds?
You have to have the resolution in effect before you can receive federal money.
So can I have a motion to adopt this resolution from a council member?
So move.
Second.
All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carried.
All right, item 3 under my section is I'd like to set a date for a budget workshop. Now, in your council packet tonight, in the consent agenda, you'll notice when you went through it, the amended budget has been represented in there. That was approved previously. Our next order of business is to set the next budget workshop for the 2022 budget year, and we're suggesting 3 p.m. on August 18th.
I cannot make 18th, 19th, or 20th. Okay.
Okay. 17th?
I'm sorry, what?
17th, he's asking.
Can you make it the
Day earlier.
17th?
And remember, the purpose of this meeting is
Yeah, I'll make the 17th. I'll commit to the 17th.
Same time.
same time, does that work? Okay, we'll validate it.
Okay, so we got,
Well, it's at 3 o'clock, and they don't know the time of this email yet.
Tentatively for the 17th at 3 p.m., we can adjust it if need be.
Yeah, Mike's funeral is that day. so
Okay.
We just don't know the time. Mike Aniston.
Okay. Sad.
do we want to pick a different day?
You'd have to go back 16th, or you'd have to go to the following week.
25th, we have a 5 o'clock meeting, so everyone should be around for that day anyway.
That's
They
an
already have plans to be here,
improvement hearing? Yeah.
Okay,
so maybe 3 o'clock that day.
Is 2 hours enough?
that's up to you. I'll commit to getting you an updated budget packet, probably the end of this, probably the first part of next week. And then in the meantime, take a look at it and send me your questions.
Okay.
There's some big numbers in there, mostly around how we would finance the capital outlay projects and for what term. Operations stay basically the same. The big numbers are in the big projects. Okay, so we're looking at the 25th at 3 p.m.
Okay. Need a motion on that?
Yes, please.
I move that we have the budget meeting on August 25th at 3 p.m.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
It's a Wednesday, sure.
Okay, item 4, employee recognition. I'm a firm believer in, discipline in private, reward or recognize in public. And from time to time, we get people that just say, we think you guys are doing a really great job and you're really able to help me good and I appreciate your help. This first one is from Shannon Waters, is a realtor that would like to give a shout out to John Colstead for the help and support he's provided them in their project. So nicely done, John. The next one is, this one is related to our road project out here on the Dagapay Road. Remember, we put a sewer in a road project, and we went around and around and around on how are we going to assess the sewer, and for how long, and how much should it be, and how much should the road assessment be? Well, we ran into a really unique situation here that Phil will attest to. WSN put the road project in, was the engineer on it, and 2 years after, almost 2 years afterwards, the assessments kicked in. We had a resident that, when we pulled the listing of who to assess and who to notice, which we did according to statute, we had no way of knowing there were multiple owners of the same property, multiple family members, and they didn't quite agree on how things should be done. So that's what this one is. We had an individual that wanted to be on sewer, but they thought their septic system was a lot newer than it really was. And that was part of the new rules just recently put in. If it's a certain age, then you've got to hook it up by a certain time. Ted even went out to this property and they showed him where to put the stub on the original installation. So a year and a half, almost 2 years later, when another family member that owned the property realized they didn't want to be on the sewer, said, hey, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. So we sat down and we explained to them the age of their system, how it worked, and after quite a few phone calls and a little help from Phil and Ted and others showing where things were, they said, you know what, it makes sense. I'm in agreement with you, and thank you so much for your help. So those don't always turn out that way, but this one did. So thank you, everyone, for your efforts on that.
Thank you, both of you.
All of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
On item E5 is an updated resolution for vacating the property at the end of Norway Trail. And John, correct me if I misspeak, but I think this is the one where we agreed to vacate it, but we didn't have the resolution in place. You've already done this, so this is the written form of the resolution that needs to be approved, formality. You don't need to decide again, you just need to do the resolution.
It just adds that it's going to be a conservation easement, and we don't have that yet, do we?
No, the first, you had this in the packet when you did vote yes for it, but you wanted us to add conservation language, so I added the last paragraph there.
Yeah.
That's new, you didn't have that in the last, you told me what to do verbally, but it wasn't in the draft resolution.
Okay.
So you might want to read that last subject, however, and if that's what you're remembering or thinking, then just ratify the resolution.
So do we need to adopt this resolution?
Yes.
Since we approved it already?
You already approved it. I mean, it's nice that since you didn't have that language, even if everyone reads it and nobody hesitates, we could just keep moving probably. It's just good when it happens after the fact that you at least see it. I think you've made that comment in the past. We've done some things after the fact, so if you want to revote, you
I
can.
haven't heard it yet, so
Doesn't hurt to pass it again.
Right. And you just added that last paragraph.
The last paragraph is new. It was not in
Subject, however, to
based on the
concept.
testimony we had at the council meeting.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the resolution vacating the property?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carried?
I can take TJ's.
Do we just need to approve each
Yep.
dedication, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, the first request for council action is for Erickson subdivision, and the Parks and Recreation Commission recommends the city council take cash in lieu of land in the amount of $1,500. Are there any questions on this?
No?
Could I have a,
I'll second that.
all in favor of the action for 1,500 park
Aye.
dedication. Passed. The next one is Arvig Communications Subdivision. There, the general consensus of the Park and Library Commission is to recommend to accept cash in lieu of the land in the amount of $1,500 for park dedication.
I so move we approve the Arvig fees.
I second it.
All in favor of the park dedication of $1,500 for Arvig Communications Subdivision?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. The next one is request for action on the George's subdivision. Is it George?
Gorgas.
Gorge?
Gorgas.
Gorgas? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. The Park Commission recommends the City Council take cash in lieu of the land in the amount of $3,000 for park dedication.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor of the $3,000 park dedication for
Gorgas.
Gorgon's subdivision?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None? Carried. The next one, requesting action on the Cross Lake Park Library Commission, or from the Cross Lake Library Commission, Park and Library Commission, that cash in lieu of land be collected for the Holden subdivision in the amount of $30,000.
So actually, this one is, they brought in their application Friday late, and it's for, it's not for 20 new lots, it's only for 19, so it would be $1,500 less than that.
28,500?
28.5,
28.5.
correct. And that was something we didn't, they took out the roadways as a separate parcel.
Okay, does the council member want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the request for collecting 28.5 from the Holden subdivision.
I second it.
All in favor of said motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Carried. The next one is a limited use agreement recommendation. This one might have to, there might have to be some explanation or discussion on, maybe? Unless the council doesn't need it.
I can give more explanation if you'd like. There's a small encroachment into the right-of-way on that street that's been there forever, back when Ms. Andelchek owned the property as well. But there's some landscaping and fence and a gate that's clearly all private or for the yard, but it's physically in the road right-of-way. And so in cases like that in the past, in my mind, there's two options. One, make them move that stuff to get it out of the road right-of-way, or do a limited use agreement that says, you know, if there's any liability or damage, you're accepting that. It's not a city problem. So.
I have visited that site with Park and Recreation Commission and saw that it would be a useful thing to do rather than try to make the people tear down a pre-existing hardscape that's been there for a while. And it would make it easier, I think, for Ted to turn stuff around there. Is that true or not, Ted?
How come the road isn't in the right-of-way?
The road went out to that island. We used to drive out through that other gate, out on the island, turn around on the island, and come back out. It predates me way back when, and there's lots of roads that aren't centered or aren't even in the right of way. It's how they put them in back then. It makes it difficult now.
Yeah, so there wasn't engineering done there or survey?
This
or-
is, I can't tell you what year this was developed. I mean, it's past my 20-plus years, so.
And that's probably why the property owner didn't realize that he was in the right-of-way, or,
Did it anyway.
oh, he didn't?
So there used to be like 6 or 7 cabins out on that island.
Yeah.
Now there's one, And that happened in the late 80s. So it's been this way since she had her bed and breakfast there in the late 80s when the gate went in and shut off these guys from going out there and turning around on the island.
Oh,
So you're talking 30 years ago, not,
Well, my career is 22, so I can only speak to that, or 23.
do we follow, are we going to follow right-of-ways, or are we going to still build streets where they are and not be in the right-of-way?
We try to stay in the right of way wherever we can. There's still some of them that have been there for, even Whitefish Avenue. There's parts of Whitefish Avenue that are encroaching on people's property. But that's where they went and put it in around the trees. They wanted to save as much of the natural beauty as they could, and that's how people put it in. I mean, you think of, I just went blank, where we go around a whole island of trees out here off of, I can't think of that first road off of Daggett, I just went blank. But anyway, Oxlake Landing. We go around a whole island of trees because they wanted to save the beauty of the trees.
Do any other council members have any questions on this limited use agreement recommendation?
I think we prove it. I mean, it's not, it is what it is.
And there's a termination section that says you can, terminate the agreement in 90 days if there's some other road work down the road where we need to take
It's
the
the form,
property there.
yeah, this is, we've done this is the exact same form we've done in the past. We've done it 3-4 times since I've been city attorney. That doesn't mean you should do it every time there's an encroachment you see. But if you're going to approve it, this is what we've accepted in the past, the exact same form.
It's essentially kind of a dead-end road for the most part, isn't it?
Well, it's more than a sign. John referenced that it's not a cabinet anymore. It happens to be like the biggest house in the chain. But I mean, that's it down the end. And it's used like twice a year, so.
Not a lot of traffic.
No.
I'll make a motion, we approve the limited use agreement recommendation for the, what property is it here again? The Elstads? Elstads, so.
I second that.
All in favor of the approval of the limited use agreement?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Approved?
Must be enough.
Okay, the update on right-of-way encroachment. That's something different from Elsted's?
This is a different issue. It's just informational. It's regarding that picture that Mr. Colstead showed, I think, last meeting about the little shed in the right-of-way. And they have reached out to the city after receiving this letter, so it will be removed at some point here soon.
Okay.
They agreed to
Yes.
to move it. The next thing is the memo dated August 3rd from TJ Grotman, from the Director of Parks and Rec, the Erickson subdivision park dedication recommendation. Oh, we did that, I'm sorry. I'm down in planning and zoning. The ordinance amending and naming unnamed roads as Serenity Lane and Woody Lane. Now, these subdivisions have been approved?
Not yet. These are subdivisions that have been submitted. One of them, the one with Serenity Lane from Greg Hagelin, will be heard at this month's Planning Commission meeting for the preliminary plat, and you guys will see it. And then the other one, Gerald Woody, has just submitted today, and will be at the end of September at that Planning Commission meeting. We're just trying to get ahead of this, because if we wait until the preliminary plat and the final plat are completed for them to go through the naming process, it gets done piecemeal. Part of the reason that we're doing this is so that when they get into the final plat, they'll have the name on the final plat when they do it, which if you go back in time and you look at a lot of them, they don't have the actual name of the street. They have something else altogether. And then you're trying to figure out, well, what's the real name of the road when you're looking at the Mylar plats that we have on file. And the other reason that we're doing this right now is we're trying to combine two of them to save on the cost of updating the ordinance. It's like $2,000 every time we do an update to the ordinance, just to put it into the system so people can see it. So we're trying to reduce the cost for that. So these are proposed roads. The Serenity Lane will become, they are planning on creating it as a city street that the city will take over. And the other one on Woody Lane off of Johnny Street will be a private road, but it still has to be named because there'll be more than 2 addresses down that road. So it's more than just a driveway, it's actually a new road. So we're asking for a motion and approval to add them to the naming part of the ordinance.
Is there a motion to amend the ordinance and add the road names to the master road name index?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Could I get a motion to publish this summary in the official newspaper?
I move that we publish this in the official summary.
Thank you.
Need a second and a vote too, right?
I'll second that.
All in favor of publishing the ordinance?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, approved. The next thing is a memo from Chip Lowmiller on applying for a $10,000 grant to Sourcewell.
Yeah, so what I'm looking for is to have council permission to move forward and apply for the $10,000 Sourcewell Community Match Grant. And I can be able to complete my AV costs that will incur to complete the project at the fire hall. We budgeted $20,000, and as you recall, the bids were way over that, $34,000 to $40,000. So the $10,000 will help, and the Relief Association will help pitch in for some of the remaining balance.
I move that the ESA accept this application for matching grant funds.
Second.
All in favor of Chip applying to Sourcewell for community matching funds in the amount of $10,000?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, carried.
Thank you, Chip.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good evening, sorry about being late. Air conditioner, or the garage, is very warm right now. As of right now, it's 88 degrees in there. We have the 2 micro units from the old garage and the old police department. I'd like to take a look and see how we can kind of cool things down in there a little bit using those one or both units.
So your cost will be?
No clue. I know we'll probably have to put in 220.
We'll have an electrician. We'll have an electrician. We'll have a little bit of the recharge of the system and installation, so if we 1 or 2, I don't know, $500 for a unit maybe to put in, maybe half that, someplace in there.
So is the unit outside the building? I mean, is
It's
it
in
residential
and
or
out.
is it
It's just one of those wall units that you see in places. It works both heat and air.
So we would have to cut into the wall, or?
Basically, there's 2 holes that are drilled for the
Yeah.
2 lines that go out, and that's all there is.
Okay,
It's very minimal.
okay.
Do
Just
you have
don't,
the funds for it, Eric?
Probably can find something.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to allow Eric to obtain the quotes he needs to consider the cost.
Second.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
None. So you're bringing quotes back then for that?
Yeah, yep. Secondly, I would like to do a little promotional stuff for the police department. We really haven't done that in the past. We haven't, put anything out there for the police department other than maybe junior badges. So I got to thinking, in the Arctic tumblers, the drink cups, I can get for a fairly decent amount. Sorry, still sweating from where I was before. Can get them for a fairly decent amount, and what I'd like to do is order those, and we're going to have our badge put on them and turn around and sell them probably for about $25 a piece. We recoup the cost. We can't make any money as a police department, but we can recoup our costs. And just Cross Lake Days, when we win the chili contest, and we all celebrate, the police department wins the chili contest. But kind of like to do something like that if we could. So it'd be around about $2,500. Do a raffle for each of those 100 cups that we sell, and they'd get a chance to win an Arctic cooler, 20-quart cooler. If anything, it might cost a couple $100, and we can use donated funds for that.
Great idea. I recommend that we allow Eric to go ahead and do this promotional.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? None. Carried.
Mayor, Council. Resolution receiving the updated supplemental information for the feasibility report and setting the date for the public hearing. This is for the sanitary sewer extension. Phil, do you have anything you want to add, or?
What are you looking at?
We need a motion, and then we need to set the date.
What date would you recommend?
Did you have something in mind, Phil?
It's in the resolution. It's September
September
22nd.
22nd.
I don't have that.
The 22nd day of September.
Yes.
So can we have a motion to approve the resolution receiving the updated supplemental information and feasibility report and setting the date for September 22nd at 6 p.m.?
So move.
Second.
All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Passed.
And the next one is a resolution receiving feasibility report update on improvements, and this is for our road projects in 2022. So it would be Wildwind Ranch Drive, Rushmore Boulevard, Rushmore Trail, Birch Narrows Road, Whitefish Avenue, Hilltop, and Woodland Drive. And again, we have costs in there, updated costs, and I'm looking for the date.
August 25th
Yes,
hearing? The hearing's August 25th.
yes.
Do I have a motion to approve this resolution receiving the feasibility report and the updates on the road construction improvement project and setting the date for the improvement hearing August 25th, 2021?
So move.
A second.
All in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Passed.
The last one you have before you is from Bolton to make a proposal for professional engineering services for CASA 66 and CASA 3 stormwater. This would be down by basically Army Corps in that area down there, that bridge area. We have a letter, item 4C1, from Melissa Barrett in support of this project, and wishes the city well in moving forward with it. So we'd need a motion to get Bolton to make running on this, not to exceed amount $11,990.
I so move.
I'll second that.
All in favor of it, the motion? Aye.
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 Opposed? None passed.
Just a quick one for the council. The crosswalk, mechanical part of it is here. The posts are here. We're just waiting for the concrete work to get started and done.
Okay, thanks, Ted.
We have public forum. Okay, we have public forum next. Is there anyone here that would like to come up to public forum?
Just as a member of the Public Works Commission, John mentioned that Serenity Drive is going to be turned over to the city. We're rebuilding Dave's Road right now, Wild Wind Ranch Road. That was done by a developer. I guess I'm just trying to caution, I'm not sure what the procedure is anymore on that. How much Phil is involved in reviewing the documents or the designs and then inspection. We just had soil borings done on Wild Wind Ranch and the sub-base is crap and, you know, I think if they're gonna turn the road over, we've gotta make sure that the city engineer is involved and, you know, they can bear the cost of whatever inspections if they're gonna turn it over to the city. But as a member of the Public Works Commission, I don't wanna see because we've had several of these roads where developers do it and, you know, if the engineer isn't on the spot right when they do it, that gets covered up and enough said. I just don't know what the procedure is gonna be on this, but I caution the council to have the city engineer involved in inspecting this if the city's gonna take it over.
So is Serenity Lane or whatever it's called?
That's the one
is
that's
that-
coming up on this month's public, or planning and zoning for plat approval. And then John had just mentioned that Serenity Lane was gonna be turned over to the city for future maintenance. The way that works, they've gotta bring it up to city standards if the city is gonna take it over. And that was the same with Wild Wind Ranch. Supposedly it was to city standards. And it lasted, what, 10 years? 15 years, and it's, you know, buckled and.
So I think what you're saying, it should be built to city standards from day one.
Yep.
So can you
Can that be
handle?
part of the planning
Is there a
commission?
road there now? I mean, is it built now?
No.
No.
No, it's
No,
not
over
built,
off of
but,
3 at the golf course.
yeah. But if they're gonna turn it over to the city, it ought to be made clear to them, they bear the cost of our city engineer being involved in both the plan review and inspections throughout the project.
So the developer is building it?
Yeah.
Tom, the planning commission can make that a condition, and I believe should.
We've
Thank you,
already,
Tom.
we've met with, just to let the council and the citizens know, we've met with the developer. We informed them of all the things that Tom just brought up, that this has to be done to a city standard. There will be inspections, and it has to be brought up to our standards before we'll take it. So we've informed them of that. We just got to get into the next part of the process here, so.
And he will have a developer's agreement, and the money will be set aside, and if he doesn't do it right, we get to go get the money from him to do it right for him.
But then we didn't find out from your road until 15 years later that they didn't do it right. They did it two different
Yeah, I mean,
standards.
just from the novice looking at it, it wasn't done right, but I don't know that anybody officially checked it at the time. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. But
I don't know
who's
what
going to
happened.
check the standards on it?
The engineer will do that. So Phil getting them,
So the engineer didn't
Before
do
they-
it on,
I don't know. I have no idea. We don't know. But we're gonna try to do it right this time by having the engineer involved on the front end with the developer, and it should be fine. So we get 30 years plus.
okay,
I just want to let the council know we had started the process, so, with them, so.
okay. Is there anybody else for public forum? Do you have anything, Brad?
No report.
We do have, was there any new business by city council? I guess I have something. I would like the council to consider designating that $89,362 that we got for the Small Cities Assistance Program to roads. That's what communities under 5,000 receive this assistance because they don't get state aid, road state aid. And I'd like to see the city council designate that monies towards road if they,
There would be really no reason to designate it, because that's the only purpose it can be used for.
but then it will show up in the designated fund balance.
It'll show up there anyways.
So could I have a motion for
I'll make a motion
designated?
to do that.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Passed. Old business. We have a letter from Christensen in reference to the Hillcrest Beach right-of-way, and we have we don't have to take action on this, right? This
I
Hillcrest.
think both
Right.
that and the letter after that are both about the same issue, just different sides of the issue. And I think you just want to acknowledge receipt and that it's part of the public record.
Okay, so that's just part of public record is, and then there's another letter in here for the Hillcrest Beach access from Cindy Gibbs, and that's for public record too. But is there any discussion on the stairs that we've all been talking about, and we just kind of don't do anything about it? Is there any discussion on having Mr. Varley put the stairs back in? No. Any discussion on that?
I think it should be let sit and rest for a while.
Right, and then we got the right-of-way committee that
Yeah.
just is for, so.
So you want the right-of-way committee to bring that back to the city council, the stairway issue?
I would guess once they get organized.
Because it was at that meeting, that special meeting, a lot of people were in support of that stairway going back in. But you want to leave it for,
Yes.
table action and give it to the public or the public access committee?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other business?
Not that I know of.
I have
Oh,
other
we have the
business that I
Bolton
would
and-
like Marcia to run all the meetings, because it's only 8:15.
Okay. Did we need to do the Bolton and Mink? Did I miss that?
No, we did it.
We did it?
Yep.
Oh, okay, all right. I got it out of line.
You're so fast, you don't even know.
Hey, you've got a record for this year. I move we adjourn.
I second it.
Aye.
Aye.